Tested Advertising Methods, 5th edition, by John Caples, revised by Fred E. Hahn. There's a famous story that perfectly captures the feeling of being underestimated. Picture this. A young man named Jack is at a party, surrounded by friends, laughter, and music. Across the room sits a beautiful grand piano. As the evening winds down, the music eventually stops, and a lull settles over the conversation. Jack, feeling a quiet burst of confidence, walks over to the piano and sits down. A wave of whispers and giggles ripples through the room. Jack? He can't play a note. Someone snickers. Another friend smirks. This is going to be good. They all knew him as the quiet guy, the one who was always just there, never the life of the party. They laughed when he sat down at the piano. He ignores them, his fingers hovering over the keys for just a moment. And then, he begins to play. Not just a simple tune, but a cascade of beautiful, complex notes. The room falls silent. The laughter dies, replaced by wide-eyed astonishment. Jaws literally drop. He plays with a passion and skill that no one in that room ever imagined he possessed. But when he started to play, well, everything changed. Here's the thing. That isn't just a story. It was the headline of one of the most successful advertisements ever written. It sold millions of dollars worth of home study music courses and became a cultural touchstone. But more than that, it holds a profound secret about human nature, about desire, and about the incredible power of words to change minds. The man who wrote that headline was named John Caples, and he wasn't your typical creative genius. He was a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, an engineer by training. He was a man of logic, facts, and systems, in a world that, at the time, was ruled by guesswork and artistic flair. He looked at the world of advertising, a world of beautiful drawings and clever slogans that often failed miserably, and he asked a simple revolutionary question. How can we know what works? Today, we're going to dive into his legendary book, Tested Advertising Methods. This isn't just a book about advertising. It's a masterclass in persuasion. It's a guide to understanding what makes people stop, listen, and act. By the end of our time together, I promise you'll hold the keys to crafting messages that truly connect. Whether you're trying to win a school election, persuade your parents, sell a product, or build a following for your ideas, the principles we're about to uncover are timeless. They worked for John Caples nearly a century ago, and believe me, they work even better today. So let's jump in. Imagine for a moment that the world of communication, of advertising, of selling ideas, is like a vast, foggy ocean. Most people are just drifting around on rafts, hoping the current will take them somewhere good. They shout into the fog, hoping someone hears them. They paint beautiful pictures on their sails, hoping someone sees them. But it's all based on hope. It's guesswork. This is what David Ogilvy, another advertising legend and a great admirer of Caples, called skidding hopelessly about on the greasy surface of irrelevant brilliance. It's a world full of beautiful, clever, and expensive failures. John Caples was the man who built a lighthouse in the middle of that foggy ocean. He wasn't a sailor who relied on intuition. He was an engineer who brought a compass, a map, and a set of tools. He believed that you didn't have to guess. You could test. You could measure. You could build a system based on what actually works, not on what some executive in a boardroom thinks should work. He called it scientific advertising. And the first, most important discovery he made, the foundational law of this new science, is incredibly simple, yet most people miss it entirely. The most important part of any advertisement is the headline. Not the beautiful picture, not the clever body copy, not the fancy logo at the bottom, the headline. Caples believed, and proved through thousands of tests, that the headline accounts for anywhere from 50 to 75% of an ad's success. Think about it. When you scroll through your social media feed, or glance at a rack of magazines, what do? You read the headlines. You read the titles. In a fraction of a second, you make a decision: is this for me, or do I care? If the headline fails to stop you, the rest of the message might as well be written in a language you don't understand. It simply doesn't exist. Your headline is competing with hundreds of other messages for a sliver of someone's attention. If it doesn't do its job, everything else is wasted effort. So what makes a headline work? Caples discovered that all great headlines fall into one of three powerful categories. And the number one, the undisputed champion, is self-interest. The best headlines appeal directly to the reader's wants, needs, and desires. They promise a benefit. They offer something the reader wants. Think of headlines like "How to Win Friends and Influence People" or "The Secret to Retiring at 55." They don't talk about the product. They talk about the transformation the product can bring to your life. The second most powerful category is news. People are naturally curious about what's new. Words like introducing, announcing, finally, or a new way to act as powerful magnets for attention. If you have something genuinely new, a new product, a new feature, a new discovery, shout it from the rooftops. It's an automatic advantage. The third category, and one to be used with caution, is curiosity. These are the headlines that create an open loop in your mind, a question that you feel compelled to answer. The famous piano ad is a perfect blend of self-interest, "I can become a skilled pianist," and curiosity. What was the story? How did he do it? But Caples warns that curiosity alone is often too weak. A headline like "A Kiss for Success" is meaningless. It's trying to be clever, but it offers nothing. It doesn't give the reader a reason to invest their time. Now, here's where Caples' scientific mind really shines. He didn't just theorize about this, he tested it. Relentlessly. In one famous test, he ran 2 ads for a course on English grammar. The ads were identical in every way. Same picture, same copy, except for the headline. The first headline read, "Are you afraid of making mistakes in English?" It's not a bad headline. It taps into an insecurity. It asks a direct question. The second headline was slightly different. "Do you make these mistakes in English?" Just one word was changed. The word "these." The second headline pulled in monumentally more customers. Why? Because that one little word, "these," made a promise. It promised that inside the ad there was specific, useful information. It implied, read on, and you'll find a list of common mistakes. You can check yourself against this list right now, for free. It turned a generic question into an irresistible piece of self-discovery and information. The first headline was trying to sell a course. The second headline was offering immediate value. This brings us to the second great law of Caples, universe, which is woven directly into the first. What you say is more important than how you say it. The appeal, the core reason someone should buy your product, is everything. You could have the most beautifully designed advertisement, written by a poet, with a stunning photograph, but if it features a weak appeal, a hastily written ad with a powerful appeal will beat it every single time. Caples tells a story of an experiment where one ad sold 19.5 times more than another ad for the exact same product. The ads occupied the same space, in the same magazine. The only significant difference was the appeal. One ad hit upon the true, deep desire of the customer, and the other one missed. So what are these powerful appeals? They are the bedrock of human motivation. At the most basic level, you have what an old advertising mentor once described as the big 3: sex, greed, and fear. Sex isn't just about physical attraction. It's about love, romance, friendship, being liked, being popular, and belonging. Greed isn't just about money. It's about everything money can buy: comfort, security, leisure, better things for your family, and the prestige that comes with success. Fear is about the fear of losing what you have, or the fear of not getting what you want. Fear of old age, of poverty, of being unpopular, of making a mistake. To this, we can add a fourth powerful motivator: duty and professionalism. This is the appeal to doing the right thing, to providing the best for those you serve. It's the appeal that speaks to a doctor choosing the best medicine, or an engineer choosing the most durable materials. The key to all of these appeals is that they focus entirely on the buyer, not the seller. The most common mistake in all of persuasion is to be so in love with your own creation, how great your product is, how hard you worked on it, that you forget to tell the customer what's in it for them. People don't buy a drill bit because they want a drill bit. They buy a drill bit because they want a hole. Always sell the hole, not the drill. Caples' approach was to find the right appeal through testing. He would run a series of ads, each with a different appeal in the headline. He would then meticulously count the responses. Maybe the save money appeal did okay. Maybe the easier chores appeal did a little better. But maybe, just maybe, the gain more leisure time appeal brought in 3 times as many customers as all the others. Once he found that winner, he knew he had struck gold. From that point on, every ad would be built around that single proven appeal. He wouldn't guess anymore. He would know. This scientific process leads us to the third core pillar of Caples, philosophy. Your copy must be a complete sales talk, filled with facts, enthusiasm, and a reason to act now. After you've stopped the reader with a powerful, self-interested headline, you have their attention. But it's fleeting. You have to hold it. And you do that by getting straight to the point. Caples studied the masters of holding attention, the editors of Reader's Digest. He found that the best articles, just like the best ads, never waste time with a long, rambling introduction. The very first sentence builds directly on the promise of the title. If the headline is, "How to Provide Retirement Income for Yourself," the first paragraph doesn't start with a philosophical musing about the passage of time. It starts like this. This new retirement income plan makes it possible for you to retire at any age you wish, 55, 60, or 65. You may provide for yourself a monthly income of $2,000, $2, $500, or more. It gets right to the facts. It expands on the promise. The reader came for information about retirement income, so you give it to them immediately. And you should give them a lot of it. This is one of the most counterintuitive lessons from the book. Long copy sells more than short copy. In today's world of short attention spans, this seems impossible. We're told to be brief, to get our message across in a few seconds. But the testers, the ones who measure every single sale, know the truth. From mail-order pioneers selling fruit to correspondence schools selling courses, long copy almost always outperforms short copy. Why? Because of 2 things. First, the headline and the picture do the job of grabbing the casual skimmer. They get the main idea across. But the people who are genuinely interested, the ones who are actually prospects to buy, are hungry for information. They want to know more. They want every detail, every feature, every benefit. They want to be reassured that they are making the right decision. Short copy leaves their questions unanswered and their anxieties unaddressed. Think of it this way. If you were about to spend a significant amount of money on something important, would you want a 1-sentence explanation, or would you want every last detail? The person who isn't interested won't read your ad anyway, no matter how short it is. But the person who is interested is your real audience. Don't let them down. Your copy should be specific, factual, and filled with what Caples called selling copy, not style copy. Style copy is full of vague, flowery claims like, "Revel in its sculptured smoothness and fragrant lather." It sounds nice, but it's meaningless. Selling copy gives you facts. This soap is made of olive and palm oils. No other fats whatever. No artificial coloring. So pure that over 20,000 experts recommend it. One statement is an opinion, the other is proof, and proof is what builds trust. Beyond facts, great copy needs one more ingredient: enthusiasm. Caples believed that enthusiasm is as contagious as the measles. If you aren't excited about what you're selling, how can you expect anyone else to be? He advised writers to get themselves worked up, to believe, even for a moment, that they had the most important piece of news in the world to share. Write fast, write furiously, and get that energy onto the page. You can always go back and edit it later. It's easy to tame a wild horse, he would say, but it's impossible to bring a dead one back to life. And this brings us to the engine that drives this entire system, the fourth and final pillar: test everything. How did Caples know all of this? How did he know long copy worked better? How did he know one appeal was superior to another? He knew because he never assumed anything. He treated every ad as an ongoing test of what he had learned before. He created a simple, brilliant system for tracking results. In the days before the internet, this was done with something called a keyed coupon. If you look at an old magazine ad, you might see an address in the coupon that looks something like this: Department R, the 7th of January, 44. That little code was a treasure map of data. The R might stand for the magazine the ad ran in. The 44 would be the code for that specific ad, with that specific headline. And the numbers might represent the month and day. By counting the coupons that came back with that exact code, an advertiser knew precisely how many people responded to that specific ad, in that specific publication, on that specific day. This simple invention took the guesswork out of advertising. It turned it from an art into a science. Using this method, you could test two different headlines against each other in the same magazine. This is called a split-run test. Half the copies of the magazine would get headline A, and the other half would get headline B. Whichever one brought back more coupons was the winner. The loser was discarded, and the winner became the new control ad to test against in the future. You could test different appeals. You could test long copy versus short copy. You could test photographs versus drawings. You could test different magazines, different times of year, different prices. Everything was testable. This created a powerful feedback loop. You learn from your results. You adapt your next ad based on what you learned. Then you learn again and adapt again. It's a process of constant, incremental improvement. It's the philosophy of getting 1% better every single day. This method, this scientific approach, revolutionized advertising. It was the secret weapon used by mail-order giants, book clubs, and correspondence schools to build massive businesses through the mail. While many of the big, glamorous general advertisers were spending millions on beautiful but untraceable campaigns, the direct response advertisers were quietly perfecting a machine that turned $1 of advertising into $2, then $3, then $10 of profit. And they did it by following these timeless principles, discovered and perfected by John Caples. First, grab attention with a headline that promises news, arouses curiosity, or, best of all, appeals to the reader's self-interest. Second, build that headline on a powerful, proven appeal that gets to the heart of what the customer truly wants. Third, deliver on that promise with clear, factual, enthusiastic copy that gives the reader all the information they need to make a decision. And finally, test everything, measure your results, and let the customer, not your own opinion, tell you what works. It's a system as logical and reliable as the engineering principles Caples learned at Annapolis. And it's a system that is just as relevant today as it was the day he first sat down and wrote that legendary line, "They laughed when I sat down at the piano." As we step back and look at the wisdom packed into tested advertising methods, it's easy to think, well, that's fascinating, but it's from a different era. The world of mail-order coupons and black and white print ads is long gone. But that would be missing the entire point. The technology has changed, but human nature has not. The principles John Caples discovered through his meticulous testing are, in many ways, more relevant today than ever before. We are no longer just advertising in magazines. We are all, in our own way, advertisers. Every time you write an email, what is the subject line? It's a headline. It's fighting for attention in a crowded inbox. Does it appeal to self-interest? Does it promise news? Or does it get ignored? Every time you post on social media, what's the first sentence? What's the thumbnail on your video? That's your headline. It has less than a second to stop someone from scrolling. The principles are exactly the same. The split-run tests that Caples ran in magazines are now the A/B tests we can run in minutes on a website, an email campaign, or a social media ad. We have the tools to be even more scientific than Caples ever dreamed. The most powerful lesson in this book isn't just a collection of techniques, it's a mindset. It's the mindset of humility. It's the willingness to accept that your opinion, my opinion, even the opinion of the most brilliant creative director is not what matters. The only thing that matters is what the customer responds to. It's about letting go of your ego and letting the data be your guide. So how can you apply this today? Let me give you just a few simple actions. First, the next time you have an important message to send, an email, a proposal, a post about a project you care about, don't just write one headline. Write 10. Write 20. Force yourself to explore different appeals. Try a self-interest headline. Try a news headline. Try asking a question. You will almost certainly find that your 10th or 20th idea is far more powerful than your first. Second, embrace the power of specific facts. The next time you're describing something, resist the urge to use vague, general words like great, amazing, or high quality. Instead, dig for the numbers. How many people have used it? What was the percentage of improvement? How many hours will it save? Specifics are believable. Generalities are just claims. Remember, 52.7% stronger is infinitely more powerful than over 50% stronger. And finally, adopt the philosophy of as if. Prepare every message you create as if it were a mail-order ad. As if your success or failure depended entirely on the response it generated. Give it a powerful headline. Pack it with benefits. Make it clear, enthusiastic, and easy to understand. And end with a clear call to what you want the person to do next. If you approach every piece of communication with that level of intention and respect for the audience's attention, you will become an incredibly effective persuader. This book is a timeless reminder that persuasion isn't magic, it's a science. It's about understanding people, understanding their desires, and building a bridge of words between what they want and what you have to offer. That was a summary of Tested Advertising Methods by John Caples. We've touched on the most powerful ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It shows you the layout, but it can never replace the experience of actually walking the trails yourself. The real magic of this book is in the hundreds of examples, the small stories, and the subtle shifts in language that bring these principles to life. This summary is your map, designed to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've discussed today has sparked your curiosity or given you a new way of thinking, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning techniques. It's about internalizing a mindset that can genuinely change how you communicate for the rest of your life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another one of the transformative books that have shaped the minds of leaders and creators. Let's continue to learn and grow together.